Welcome, one and all. Cut Ups episode 5.2 coming for you. Michigan football against Nebraska. If you missed part one last night, Trevor and I walked through most of the first half. We have a couple of plays here to finish up in the first half before getting into the second half. If you're watching this later on, welcome, and you're not able to join live. I know I posted the link pretty late notice here. It was a crazy day here on my end, but anyway, we're going to get going on the analysis. Give a couple minutes since I did post the link a little bit late. I still got a pack for the trip out to Minneapolis. Went to Nebraska last week, met up with Trevor there, and going out to Minneapolis to watch Michigan at Minnesota for this weekend as well. So it's been a whirlwind with work and getting things in order for that, but excited to show some analysis here, and we'll see. I hope we can get through this in about an hour or so. Adam, welcome. Appreciate you joining on short notice here. Appreciate you guys sticking with me. Joe Kirkland, welcome. Go Blue, safe trip to Minneapolis. Yeah, hoping it'll be a little bit easier. Score predictions for Minnesota game. I don't think it's going to be as lopsided as it was against Nebraska. I think Minnesota has a little bit more juice. I'm going to say like 38-13. I think 38-13 is what I'm looking at. I still don't think it'll be necessarily close, but I don't think it's going to be, Michigan up 28-0 at half. I think it'll be maybe closer to 21-7 or something at half, and then Michigan kind of just ices it in the second half. So that's kind of what I'd say, 38-13 or so. That feels about right. Okay. Don't have as much time tonight, so I'm going to move fast here. But hope the audio comes through. Let me know if it does. I can always adjust it here and there, but let's get going. We're late in the first half here, and we're kicking this off.
Texas in a close one. Georgia in a close one.
Got to start with a negative play, right? So what happened on this one, right? Sometimes I think we've seen it more with Donovan Edwards than we have with Blake Corum, of guys just not having much of a chance. And this, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on. This is great jump from number 9, this defensive end here. Gets a great jump. You got a pull out of Keegan going to the play side here. And this guy just gets a perfect jump and is able to shoot that gap. So really, really excellent play from him, right? It's a tough ask getting your left tackle to close that gap. He needs to be better, right? Ladarius Henderson, even though it is difficult, he needs to work like heck to close this gap. And this might be something, right? He's with the transition between him and Hinton, and them kind of splitting the playing time, getting up to speed on exactly how to close that gap, right? And getting off the snap quickly with that first initial step against good players like this defensive end. You can't really have anything less than perfect footwork. And I don't think he steps well enough with his right foot, and the second step definitely doesn't have enough punch to close that gap. So he just needs to do a better job. Try to get your head across, right? If you fall, you fall, but at least get your head across here instead of his head, which ends up on the left shoulder here. Just push your head across, right? And if you have to fall and get bowled over, so be it, but you give your running back a chance. So not much of a chance here for Michigan because of, I mean, more than anything, a good play from that defensive end. So give him some credit. And again, it's good to have teachable moments. I think this was one for Henderson to do a little bit better on. All right, let's get back to some of the good plays. All right, let's kick this off with a couple good offensive plays.
They use Wilson in motion, and then it's Corum moving those legs forward.
To follow this up, we got 1st and 10 here later on in this drive, 2 minutes and a half. And this is just excellent blocking pretty much all around. So what makes this play successful? Let's see this. Yep, we have the end zone view. Zone blocking, but you are pulling. It's an interesting motion that you have Roman Wilson coming across, but it's just zone blocking up front. And can't stress enough how well this is blocked by Carson Barnhart, right tackle, right? He gets a huge push on this defensive tackle. Good job here from Zinter as well. Watch the wall that forms based off of those two blocks alone. Really big hole there, and give a lot of credit to Barner. I feel like we've said his name plenty of times, just consistent, time and time again. It's almost never him who's doing a bad job. He does a really good job staying connected through the play there. So great job there. Really Barnhart, I think, displacing this guy. I mean, where is this guy even going, right? He is in a different zip code at this point, and this is exactly what you're running back to see, right? So that's what I call free yards. I think there might have been a better opportunity for Blake Corum to try to cut this way instead of back into against the grain this way, mainly because this block is coming off a little bit. You have more defenders here, but again, you're not going to discredit a guy for picking up 10 yards on a run. So I think he did close to maximizing the yards. Did he have more potential? Maybe trying to cut left here. Maybe, right? Maybe a little bit more potential here with a wide receiver blocking. There's a little bit more open space here than any potential cut this way. But again, I think I'm splitting hairs at that point. And I think, Adam, you got a great point. Barner is a pro tight end. From what we've seen thus far, as a blocking tight end, you're putting exactly what you need to on film for him to be a pro. And I think, he can catch. I think it's something that he just hasn't had enough time. I mean, when you're with Colson Loveland, right, it's hard to really split catches between those guys. But I think he'll have his time. I think he showed the ability to catch in a couple games, and it's just a matter of him getting enough touches to really show that out. But I agree. He's big. All right. He's a big body too at tight end. So such a great get for the program to recognize that. And he's done an excellent job becoming an asset for this offense. Brian Block says, can't watch live. Check it out later. I appreciate you stopping by and saying hello. Leave some comments later on your thoughts. And anyone else who's watching this either Thursday or Friday before the game, let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. I always appreciate those who come by later and have their commentary afterwards. Usually respond to those comments as well. All right, moving on. 3rd and 2 here, short yardage. Guess who in the backfield?
3rd and 2, Mullins again.
And it's just good luck, right? Like when I say good luck, I mean good luck stopping it. Dude's just huge. Again, he's 6'2", 240. Trevor and I mentioned it yesterday. He is a linebacker with exceptional speed, right? This isn't some tiny body that he's bowling over here, right? You have the stunt that is helping Michigan in this case. What I mean by that, you have a stunt right here between these two defensive linemen. That's going to really help your offensive line get out and reach this second level, these guys, because of this stunt, right? You're essentially creating a big gap exactly where this run will be going here. So you're creating a free release for your center. I believe this is Nugent to get to the play side linebacker, right? So that creates this nice hole here. And you got a double team on this sort of stunt. So the stunt actually helps in this case for Michigan to get appropriate leverage and create that gap here for Mullins. And then the rest of it is just, again, Mullins one-on-one against the linebacker, right? And the key thing with his linebacker size, he gets ahead of steam. This guy is still shuffling, only has, maybe 1.5 yards to get his momentum up. And that's a losing battle against a guy like Mullins, right? Boom. And that's what they like out of him, right? Nothing against Donovan Edwards, but he's not that kind of back. And being able to take some of these carries from the workload of Blake Corum and be confident that on 3rd and 2, this guy's going to be able to take on a linebacker, right? Because he was one, and he's bigger than most linebackers. So to have that momentum, the instincts, and the feet to continue his speed, right? He makes that one cut. He recognizes where he has to go. He has good instincts to match that physicality. It's a tough ask for anyone, any single body to take him down. So one-on-one at the line to gain, right at the first down marker, he gets an extra 2.5 yards, right? And that's exactly what you want out of a third down back, or maybe your third back, whatever you want to call Mullins. His ability to take on 10 carries or so to lessen the workload of Blake Corum, let Blake Corum rest a little bit more and just let him do what he does. That's exceptional. And good blocks, right? Good blocks from the right side of your offensive line. Both of these guys, again, I mentioned the stunt kind of helping them out, but good job in space, right? Sometimes it can be tough when you have that stunt to stay on your path. So it's a really good job from the center to recognize, hey, there's no one for me to initially block. I need to do well in space here and pick up this linebacker. does a great job. So Nugent, I think, is much improved and really showed out well on that play to pick up a first down. An important drive, right? You're up 21-0, but you really want to score before the half, and Michigan, 35 seconds here, is going to do just that.
McCarthy doubles out of the pocket and launches. End zone, Wilson.
And here, just a great play for Wolverines. Oops, I actually messed up the reverse on this one. Anyway, so Michigan snapped this ball as Nebraska was getting set here. So obviously Michigan in a quicker set here with a short time. Ladarius Henderson does get beat, right? Ladarius Henderson does get beat on this play. You need to do better as your left tackle, right? This guy with a nice swim move. I think this is the same number 9. I should know his name. I feel bad I don't. He's the same guy who made the play earlier on Blake Corum in the backfield. So Darius Henderson got by this guy a couple times, right? So give him some credit. Did a good job. So let's look at the route tree here for Michigan and the coverage for Nebraska. So Nebraska's in cover 3, and all of these routes here are to beat cover 3. Okay, let's look at what's happening underneath. You have these 2 linebackers dropping sort of into, you can call this like the seam or the holes. These guys are going out towards the flats here and here. Then you have cover 3, deep third, deep third, deep third. Okay. And if we back up the film here a little bit, Adam Shepardson said 4 verts. That's absolutely right. Where actually I think it's 3 verts and 1 post. So you have essentially a kind of 2 fades on the outside. And these guys, I don't think they're the primary targets here. They're mainly just to get these guys who are dropping into the deep thirds, right? Make sure these guys are occupied and that they have to respect the sideline on both sides here. And what that's going to do is that's going to open up a lot of space in the center of the field. And that puts a lot of pressure on this single high safety because this guy's out of it. And I think it's this guy who's dropping back here, right? They're both out of the play. So then once you have these guys taking the deep third on the outsides, then you're threatening 2 routes up the middle. You have your tight end running a deep post here, and then a little bit later developing sort of seam route or vertical route here. And the main read is going to be on this safety, right? Depending on what this safety does, you're either going to have this post open if he stays for the vertical, right? If he goes this way, boom, hit this. If he goes this way, then boom, you hit this, right? So this is really where the stress is. By both of these outside routes, you stress this. These guys won't be able to get enough depth with how deep these routes are. So that's what this is meant to attack. So Michigan has the right call here. And if we watch the routes, right, before JJ is pressured, you can see his eyes shift to the outside and then boom, right over to this safety. This is exactly where he's looking. He's looking to see his reaction to this, right? So let's ignore what's happening in the backfield and just look at the coverage here, right? That safety covers the post route. You can conceivably see where this is going to be open, right? Because this guy will not have enough depth here, and this guy still has to respect the outside. So you have the inside here for Roman Wilson behind this safety. This guy has to respect the tight end. So you're going to have a gap here, right? This guy won't be able to react quick enough to get over on that. So you have that open. But at this point, JJ McCarthy is feeling the pressure. So again, Ladarius Henderson gets beat by that route. And now, even though it was starting to come open, not enough time to step into that throw. It's a good decision here for JJ McCarthy to cut this way. And does a really nice job turning his body and really putting all of his strength into this throw. So really good job from him to recognize that and be able to improvise here. John said, I'm late. Hope I didn't miss any of audio analysis. Had corn for dinner tonight and it was salted. My man, you missed a couple plays. I wouldn't say any big ones, but check those out on the broadcast. Appreciate you coming back tonight, John. Appreciate that. So yeah, on this, again, what has JJ McCarthy done an excellent job all year about just improvising, right? Improvising smartly, right? Either taking the free yards on the run like we saw last night on his 25 or 30-yard scramble touchdown that we saw. And in this one, and we've seen it a lot throughout the year, right? When things break down, he has the legs to open things up, and he has the calmness, the ability to stay composed in ways that he wasn't in years past, and be able to turn his body and make a very accurate throw on the move. That's a tough throw to make. So again, when it's sometimes I don't necessarily like to look at rankings because guys can outplay the rankings. There's sometimes 5 stars aren't. They're 5 stars. This is sheer athleticism, right? He's running extremely fast, able to turn his body here. He's able to combine technique with just sheer arm talent, right? You can't teach some of that. So really impressive. I loved how he turned his shoulder here, right? That front shoulder is going to dictate where that ball is going. He does a good job turning his body, right? He's pointed towards where his throw is going, and that technique puts that ball exactly where it has to be. And credit Roman Wilson for pulling that one in. So again, things don't always have to go perfectly, right? But the route combination was there to beat the zone, and even though the blocking wasn't there, found a way to be successful. Good point here from Pernicious Myth. Barner moving his man out of the throwing lane makes this play. And that's a good point as well. I noticed that as you see Barner here, you see his lanky legs here going this way. He's going to stop right around here and turn back around. Now, I don't think that was necessarily with the recognition of Roman Wilson coming, but it might have been, right? I don't know. But you're right. You don't want 2 guys occupying the same space, because usually that means you're going to bring multiple defenders, and it's one of the defenders are likely to cover that, right? So him moving away from that did open up that side of the end zone for JJ McCarthy. So it's good use of the scramble drill, right? And you have to recognize, if you're Barner, and I'm sure he did at this point, this throw is going to be here if he continues here, right? There is no throw here because of where this defender is at. So you have to make another move, right? You have to improvise. You have to find a way to make yourself open. So that's good recognition, right? Of saying, hey, I'm not open. I need to make a second move here to give a different option. And even though it didn't necessarily work for him, it helped Roman Wilson, who had a couple steps on the safety behind him. So it's a good point. Good call out. Aside Pac-12 QBs, maybe 2-3 QBs in the country make that throw. 1 plays on our team. It's a good point. Yeah, Caleb Williams. Very Caleb Williams-esque. And the thing about Michigan that I feel like they don't get a whole lot of love when it comes to their quarterbacks, because it's a much more balanced attack, right? You're not going to see Michigan rely on the quarterback the same way because you have a Blake Corum, right? So you may not see one of these offensive players from Michigan win a Heisman, but they're putting together a pretty efficient offense, both on the ground and through the air. So they both, might not be part of that Heisman conversation, but they're both playing exceptional football, and they're not carrying the team. They're balanced on their attack. And honestly, that's what makes winning football, right? You don't have to carry a team or rely on any single player. And who knows? It's only week 6, right? Only week 6. So I could still be wrong, and one of them could emerge, and hopefully both of them. But we'll see. Emily Stout, this is the exact play I was dying for, a trademark Toski breakdown. There you go. Put the trademark on it. Appreciate you stopping by, Emily. All right, here we go. 1st and 10. We got negative play. All right, buckle up. Negative play time.
First down for Harburg and Nebraska. It's a throw. It's on the money, and it's Marcus Washington with his first, dragging Mason Blue.
All right, so, if there's one negative to take from this game, a couple slants were open, right? There's one later in the game I'll show that Quentin Johnson breaks up that Will Johnson was beat on again. So Will Johnson, of course, coming back from injury, so he may not be 100%, right? Because this is pretty rare to see him not locking down a route like this, right? And then this irked me a little bit, where there's a time and a place to punch for the ball, right? Take out the legs here, right? Make a form tackle. This guy should be down at the 40 or 35 here. punching for the ball here, wrapping up like this, this guy gets all the way down damn near past the 20, right? Past the 20 because you go for the turnover. There's a time to go for a punch. You sacrifice an extra, what is that, 15 yards because you're at least 15 yards, if not 20 yards by punching out the ball. So that's my first irk about this play. I don't think we have a great angle on this. But yeah, we don't really get a great view of this. There's another case to be made here of Junior Colson, some of the zones that we see from the linebackers not necessarily being great, right? And I get it. Junior Colson here, his responsibility is the running back, right? So he's worried about the running back coming out of the backfield. To me, there's no reason for him to be coming up this far yet because this guy hasn't established himself as a potential receiver. So I get it, right? He's reacting to that, but that guy's clearly in pass protection here. So I feel like he overcommitted instead of being able to read the eyes here of the quarterback and maybe possibly drop into the area and follow the quarterback's eyes after recognizing that this block was being picked up, right? So is Junior Colson playing assignment football here? Yes, but there's a time and a place to keep your eyes on your key and then to peak, right? Do I think you would be able to make a play on this at this point? Probably not, but at least make the quarterback maybe think about it, right? So that's the thing that I would like from him. But then, yeah, we don't have the view on what happened to the coverage here from Will Johnson. And then, yeah, let's see if we can read here. Yeah, Keon Saab does not have a great angle on this either, right? And I don't know if his eyes were caught in the backfield, but he should be breaking on this ball, right? We only have the angles that we have, so we can only read so much from this. But at this point, the ball is out, right? And we can still tell by his body language, he's still getting out of his back pedal, or his momentum is still carrying him backwards. Ideally, at this point, right, ball has been in the air for quite a bit of time at this point. You should be reacting to that ball, right? And the worst case scenario on this sort of deeper crossing route, this guy's going to catch the ball, right? You want your safety punishing that, right? Legally, of course. But it does seem like this was bracketed coverage where Will Johnson had anything vertical or towards the outside, and Keon Sabb is supposed to be there for anything inside, right? Now, again, do I know that for sure? No, but it doesn't make sense for me to have Keon Sabb here backing up and not reacting to this pass. That's why you probably have outside leverage here for Will Johnson and a safety in the middle to cover against any sort of deeper cross routes or deeper slants, whatever you want to call this thing. It's just a post route. So, yeah, I think you're 100% correct there, Adam, that this is bracket coverage where you have Will Johnson covering on the outside, and then anything that comes across the middle, like an in route or a post route, in this case, that's Keon Sabb, and he does not take a good angle. So this was probably one of his rougher games for Keon Sabb. And then, yeah, I was harsh on Will Johnson for his tackle, but you have a chance to bring this down just past the 50 as well if you're Josh Wallace, right? You can't be playing handsy with this guy, right? You go for the body here, right? Go for that hip. Go for the legs here. So just poor tackling, right? Poor tackling. And again, there's time and place for a strip. Tackle him low, right? That's what you need to do here. So, yeah, disappointing on a couple aspects. I think Keon Sabb could have done much better. And then both Josh Wallace and Will Johnson need to improve their tackling. So, confluence of errors there. Okay, back to a good play. All right. Got past the bad one. Let's get back to a positive play here.
Completion for J.J. McCarthy, 9 for 12. There's the option to short side, and Grant, who lost the football.
It's a good point, Adam, that getting Rod Moore back, getting him healthy will be great for this defense overall. Again, I think the injuries in the secondary can't be understated. I think they're still, really in game one or game two of them getting back. When you talk about Rod Moore and Will Johnson, they're still dusting off the rust that I feel like we were talking about Blake Corum and some of the offensive line early in the season. I feel like that's where some of the secondary pieces are at right now. And hopefully things will slow down and they'll be able to improve and learn from these experiences, because it is still young for their seasons, right? Not everyone is on the same timeline in the season. So definitely things to clean up there. Okay, this play, two things I wanted to highlight. Jalen Harrell plays this exceptionally well, right? Do your job here, right? Your job is the quarterback. We know he's a dangerous quarterback. He just does his job, right? You just don't give anything up inside here. Influence the pitch and trust that your linebacker will be able to get out there, right? And then watch Barrett, right? So Jalen Harrell does a really, really great job to force that pitch, right? I like the depth he gets here. He forces a pitch early, right? Instead of staying right here and giving more options for the quarterback here, Jalen Harrell is forcing the hand here. And when you force the pitch, that decreases the amount of variables still for the defense to process, right? If he's here, the quarterback can do any number of things when he starts getting downhill, right? He can cut back, he can pitch late, he can do a lot of different things. But by getting some depth into the backfield, you don't give the quarterback much time to attack the line of scrimmage. So you're pitching pretty deep into the backfield, right? We look at this. This is close to 8 yards into the backfield where this pitch is occurring. And that gives a lot more time for the rest of the defense to flow to the play that is now already established. The pitch is there. This is the established runner. So it's a good job from Jalen Harrell forcing that pitch early. And now it just becomes an exercise of get down the line of scrimmage, right? Jalen Harrell did his job. He's going to take an angle down the line of scrimmage, right? Don't let anything backside here, but you also have help from guys like Chris Jenkins here on the backside. Hopefully you'll have more flow to the ball. Good recognition here of Will Johnson. This wide receiver was just trying to get him out of there, right? Will Johnson recognizes that. And I'm going to back this up, but Michael Barrett has an exceptional play. Let's watch him break off of this offensive tackle. Right? This right tackle is going to try to block him, and just really good handwork, right? We've seen Michael Barrett really transform into an excellent linebacker. Look at that arm bar, that right arm, right? It's a subtle little thing, but he recognizes this block, and given his size, right? How do you lose against a lineman? Let him get his hands on you, right? So how do you win? You chop through that. So he has an aggressive right chop there, right, as the offensive lineman is reaching out, and that prohibits that offensive tackle from getting engaged, right? Use your speed to your advantage, chop and go, right? And now he's past that block, and he made it look extremely easy. So now the pitch is happening, right? We can see that, and he does a great job. Again, he's really exceptional with his angles and just such great technique, right? He gets there, and then at the decision point, right? This is what I like to call the decision point, where you need to break down as a defender, because this guy has to decide, am I going to slow down and go back? Am I going towards the sideline? Am I going for contact? And Michael Barrett almost always gets under control here, recognizes the decision, he wraps up here, and then he punches, right? So I think from our previous play in watching Will Johnson, right, this is how you strip. There's a time and a place. At this point, he's secured the tackle, right? He's already bringing this guy down. This punch is essentially helping the tackle already, right? He is wrapping around the waist. The punch is a part of that tackle. Boom. Exceptional, right? You cannot get better technique than that. And again, I know Michael Barrett is a veteran and Will Johnson is still young in his career. So can't expect a guy to be that excellent like Michael Barrett right away. But just you can't have better technique than Michael Barrett from start to finish on this play. Recognizes what's happening, breaks through that attempted block, breaks down here at the point of attack, wraps up, boom, gets a punch. Again, it didn't go Michigan's way on the recovery, right? And it's not always going to, but give your defense a chance to come up with the ball. That's perfect. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And yeah, he's an exceptional player. So yeah, it's a bummer. Really lucky bounce. And yeah, you're just never going to see, I don't think you can see a better form tackle with a punch like that while you're bringing them down. Just great technique, right? Can't say more about that. Michael Barrett here with the slap chop. That's great. Swarm of Wolverines tracking the runner down there. Yeah. And again, it starts with Harrell, right? Harrell, by his him playing sound here, right? Forcing that pitch early, that dictates the play, right? And now you don't have to worry about as much, right? Now it's just everyone flow. There's not a whole lot of like frippery that can happen now. This play is already decided from the offense, and you now hold the keys on defense to fly down to the ball. Yeah, really, really great. Love to see that. And any chance I can highlight Michael Barrett, I'm going to do so because he's an exceptional player. All right, another positive play here for the defense.
No balance, tough day. And there's a sack.
Braden McGregor, right? What a day from him. Stopped 4th and 1 early, tipped the ball on the interception for Kenneth Grant, picking up his first sack of the season. And again, are the tackles for Nebraska great? Don't think so. Not saying that at all. But this is still what you want to see from your edge players, right? You can only do things right. You can't dictate who's going to line up against you, right? You can only do what you can do against them. And that's what we want to see. And I feel like this was one of the more complete performances we've seen out of Braden McGregor. So this is where I feel like he's best. He uses his speed to get into the backfield, get the tackle a little bit off balance, and then turns it into a bull rush. Because with that leg injury, he's still improving that lower body, but he's still fast, right? But at this point, he does a really good job transferring that speed rush into a bull rush. And this offensive tackle doesn't get enough depth here to really – I feel like he does an adequate job. But then when it's converted here, that left arm for Braden McGregor is doing a lot of work here. And it actually shows a good amount of leg strength in the hip flexion here to really be able to lean down here, lean into that left arm, and then continue his path into the quarterback. So he's really coming on, right? And I feel like early in the year, we were kind of saying, where are the edge players? Like, where are they at? Derek Moore, Josiah Stewart, Braden McGregor, when are these guys going to break through? And I feel like we've seen a lot of great things from Jalen Harrell. Braden McGregor, I think, has been a little bit more quiet. Derek Moore, I think, is still young, but showing some flashes here and there. So Braden McGregor is the guy that I think this game really stepped up and made me more excited about the whole group overall. Let's see. Going back to last play, Adams says Barrett continues to impress. Linebackers best in the country. I wouldn't disagree with you. I think it is an exceptional group. One of the best linebacker groups I can remember Michigan having, really. Bull rush, he needs to keep switching up different rushes. He's capable. That's true. I agree. And, he's an older player, but again, with that injury, that kind of changes your clock and changes your development, your natural growth as a defender. And I feel like he's still maybe like a junior or a sophomore with some of his body. And there's still a lot of area of improvement there for him. John asks, was that Saab lining up all the way in the middle of the D line there? Good question. Let me look at the other players here. I was mainly just focusing on Braden McGregor. Who is that? I think that's Junior Colson, right? Or no, you're talking about right here and right here. Who is that? Yeah, that looks like Keon Saab is lined up directly over this tight end. So this tight end does just a simple crossing route, and it looks like Michigan's just impressed, and he's just going to cover across there. And then it seems like they're threatening the blitz here out of, I believe that's Michael Barrett. I could be wrong. Yeah, and then Michael Barrett's going to drop off into zone here. So, yeah, it looked like they were looking for some sort of rub route here for Nebraska, right? They're running this sort of quick out route, maybe looking to get if he's dropping off into his zone or something, or if Michigan is attempting to have one of these guys go out into the flat, right? That this quick attack to the flats is meant to attack that. And then you also have some mesh routes here going, right? So this cross that I mentioned from the tight end, you have another cross coming here, then you have another cross coming this way. So you're mainly hoping to create chaos, where this is the quick hitter. If that doesn't develop, then you're hoping some of the defenders here will run into each other with all these crossing routes, and you'll have something to develop from there. Other angle has it. Yeah, so that is Keon Saab. So I think that's what they were hoping. But again, Brandon McGregor doesn't give a whole lot of time here, right? That initial throw, you can see Harburg kind of load up to try to throw to that flat. He was probably dissuaded from Brandon McGregor getting towards that. And also Michigan wasn't really, it looks like they're playing cover one, maybe. Yeah, seems like Michigan's playing cover one, just dropping Makari Page here, and they're manned up elsewhere. So this quick flat attack, right? The corner is going to be flying down before this. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be as open as Harburg was expecting there. And if it were like a more of a zone play and they're expecting a linebacker to drop out towards that flat or something. So good job for McGregor. The coverage was there and he got, right? So good job here. Let's look at any other defensive linemen of note on this play. Getting a good pass rush. Let me check. I always love watching Kenneth Grant here. Yeah, I mean, you'd like to see these guys. They are running a little stunt. It looks like getting upfield here for Harrell. Same thing for Kenneth Grant. You want a little loop here out of Chris Jenkins here. So, yeah, I feel like Nebraska handled it relatively well. I don't think this is necessarily great to have two guys go flying upfield as much as they did. That leaves a lot of space open here, right? So if Braden McGregor doesn't win this, that's a lot of open field for Chris Jenkins to cover because this quarterback is mobile, right? So give Braden McGregor a lot of credit here for making that tackle because probably would have been a key or a potential good scramble opportunity for Harburg because again he is a mobile quarterback in that situation. But anyway, good job, Braden McGregor. Right back to the offense here, 3rd and 10. I think this is a good play.
3rd and long for Michigan. 5 for 7 on 3rd down today. McCarthy felt the heat. Loveland turns.
Love this. Love this. Loveland. I mean, he's just a guy, right? And I feel like there's going to be a game where he just kind of takes over, right? And I think this was one where, yeah, JJ McCarthy does get hit pretty bad on this, and the stunt is not handled very well from Michigan, and it's rare because it's on your right side. You got Barnhart and Zach Zinter here, and they're not set up well here to handle this stunt. So the stunt here for Nebraska, this defensive tackle, his goal is just to occupy both bodies, right? Keep going this way and leave an open space for this defensive end looping in and make it impossible for this handoff to occur. And they don't, right? Zinter, because of the lack of depth that you get for Carson Barnhart, there's no pass off, right? This defender is going behind Barnhart here on his path. I think you need a little bit more depth here initially from Barnhart to be able to recognize, hey, this guy is moving. I need to be able to help my guard out by picking this guy up so I can free him to shift over. I feel like it's not the best response by Barnhart because this is damn near impossible, right? As your guard has to follow this guy now, you're asking your tackle to follow this guy in the stunt. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that at all. So that's tough. You'd like to see him do a little bit better. Henderson, I think, it's a little bit different because with this guy is starting to try a little spin move. I saw the hand on the back of the numbers here. When a guy does a spin move like that, I think you get a little bit more leniency on potential holding because the guy exposed his back to you already. But you got to be careful when you kind of bear hug him like that. You could get called for holding if you're Henderson on that one. So I like this throw for JJ McCarthy because this is the quickest route, right? With the pressure here, you look at the other routes that are developing, and there's not a whole lot else that is opening up quickly, right? All the other routes from your wide receivers here on the outside, they're still going, they're still developing, right? I think this is sort of a deep in route. Can't even really tell what routes are happening here. And then you have Donovan Edwards leaking out of the backfield, but this is just a little sit route, right? And this is meant to sit between any zone here, and to be a quick safety valve. So because of that pressure, this is by far the best option, right? We don't really get a good sense of the rest of the coverage, but I don't think JJ McCarthy has the time to decide anything else than just to dump it off here to your tight end. And then it's great recognition from Colson Loveland. Hey, I need to go get a first down at this point, right? You have to make a decision. Are you going to cut up field, or can you make a guy miss and go around and get that first down? And he makes the right choice, right? The guy's momentum is carrying him. Good little arm bar there to get some distance between him and the defender, and it's a great pickup. So yeah, man, I should have done this angle for the offensive line. My mistake. Much clearer there, the lack of pickup. But then, yeah, this is what having great athletes will do for you, right? This is a must get in a future game that I feel like you can depend on Cole Sullivan to pick up, right? That's what having an athletic tight end like Loveland can do for you in yards after the catch. That's huge, right? To have a guy like that. As Dylan Girk said, such a great safety valve, right? Excellent safety valve. Yeah, huge asset for Michigan, and they're going to continue to get him involved over the year for sure. Moving in 2nd and 6 here.
Like clockwork, and we have seen Michigan's clockwork so far. Play fake, McCarthy snaps it off right down the middle, low.
So I included this one almost primarily because of the route from Darius Clemens. So let's look at the protection here real quick. Sending 5 here for Nebraska. Overall, pretty good blitz pickup. To me, you probably could do a little bit better job of, number 3 is going to come off his block. That Henderson gets tripped up by 14 falling. Then he's going to cut back inside. So I'm not going to discredit this pressure. I feel like this is more than adequate time for JJ McCarthy to deliver this ball, and the guy isn't able to get a hit on him. So I feel like the pass protection is there. And they're sending 5. Michigan, I feel like, has a good response to that. So overall, good job on pass protection. Good job from Loveland, especially on the right side here. He does a really good job on this block. Again, it's tough asking your tight ends to stay in and pass protect one-on-one like this. So it was a really good job there, staying engaged. And yeah, again, Michigan loves doing play action to get these linebackers to fly up and then run deep in routes, right? Deep in routes from the outside here. And because of the play action, it's going to be really hard for there to not be, there's nothing underneath there that is prohibiting a low throw, right? That's the main thing. When these linebackers are mainly brought up from the play action, I don't know if these guys were called on a late blitz. I think they probably had some form of assignments, right, on your tight ends as well as on Blake Corum, right? So by sending these guys out and moving these guys out of the way, both on play action and threatening your running back, keeping your tight ends here, that opens up a lot in the middle of the field. And that allows you to run those deeper dig routes, right? So you have to think this throw isn't possible if those linebackers are still there. So how can you affect those linebackers through play action, through keeping your tight end in, through sending your running back out to the flats to enable your quarterback to make the type of throw based on, where that safety is. And if he's decently well covered, right, this is asking, it's an exceptionally hard route for a corner in man coverage to do well on. And I think there's a fair amount of contact there. But I think it's a good route from Darius Clemens, right? Coming back again, he was a little bit banged up. Good initial release here. I feel like he does a really solid job here, breaking down, avoiding this defender, right? He has to hold up a little bit. So it's a good job of him not running into that defender and then going down and securing the catch. So I think he's going to be able to take a lot of reps at this outside wide receiver spot. I think he's physically already there. And I like his routes, right? I feel like he's a young Cornelius Johnson in his profile. And I feel like he's going to be able to do a lot of good things even this year. But I think the future is bright with him for sure. And it's going to be a difficult ask, right? Because you're going to have teams dedicate multiple bodies here, right? What do you expect 31 to do? Not cover Roman Wilson? If he doesn't get back on this, right, then good luck. This is 6, right? And this makes it easy on the eyes of JJ McCarthy, right? He just has to read essentially this triangle of defenders, right? Recognize that this guy's behind him. This safety has to help over the top. And that means one-on-one on an in route here with nothing underneath it. At the very least, you can throw low. It's a low-risk pass, and you have good wide receivers that can go down and get it, right? So how replicable is this, right? Is this route? Is this sort of coverage? You need this response from the defense. And it's damn near impossible to cover it appropriately when you have an accurate throw like that and at least decently run routes, right? Because I don't think this is bad coverage at all. I would say this is above average to good coverage. It's just a better throw, right? Better throw, and you have to respect Roman Wilson down the field. And it's a good point here. Adam says, Clemens, think he'll make some big plays this year? Yeah, exactly. Confident footwork from JJ. Yeah, he steps up in the pocket here, right? He lets this route develop. So boom, recognizes it. He stays in there, right? He stays in there and is probably a little bit uncomfortable, right? He's stepping into his offensive lineman here, but he knows this is where the ball has to go. He's able to stick in there an extra second. So definitely shows some confidence here. Sidebar from Emily. Saw JJ Cherry Joe's footwork through the aisles was so meek. Simply couldn't bother him. Place is a madhouse. That's fair. That's really funny. Trader Joe's. I haven't been in one of those since I was in Chicago. Now I just go to Kroger like a weirdo. Okay. We got 6, 7 plays left. All right, we're doing good.
And there he goes. Foot in the ground. First down.
Another great run from Blake Corum here. All right, let's look at numbers in the box here. What is Michigan threatening here? This one's interesting because Michigan does look like they're running some form of read out of this, right? It seems like they are reading, like JJ McCarthy is reading this edge defender right here, but you do have that chip from Colson Loveland, right? But I think the main point here is you're not spending a lot of time blocking him. So you're able to just get a little chip on him without dedicating a block to him full time, all right? So I still feel like he's part of this read, right? If he flies down the line of scrimmage, you can still keep this, right? You got block, one-on-one against him. You like that speed, for JJ McCarthy to the sideline versus this linebacker. So I still feel like that's part of it, right? So removing him from it, you have, let's do a Sesame Street, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the box here. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So by removing this guy because of your read, right, you have winning numbers. 6 blockers for 6 defenders here. Colson Loveland, right, will continue on, right, after that initial chip here. It's going to continue on to that linebacker. Does a really nice job finding this block. Really nice job. And then play side, you're also finding that backside linebacker as well off of that double team. So Carson Barnhart, Zach Zinter, boom, get movement initially on this defensive tackle, displace him as much as you can, and then have Carson Barnhart continue on towards that backside backer, right? Boom, look how much. We don't get a better angle. I wish we had the end zone view of this. But look how much they're able to really push that guy down the line of scrimmage. And then combine that with the block to the second levels, both from Loveland and Carson Barnhart, you're golden, right? There's your gap. And then, again, what have I said, like, time and time again, both Trevor and I, just the fake here of JJ McCarthy going out here. This guy's going to think about it, right? All you need to do is have him think about the potential keep, right? You see that one extra step here for 14, right? You saw his eyes dart from here. Now he's like, oh, he has the ball. Watch the eyes of 14 here. Boom, right? Looking at JJ McCarthy, he doesn't have it. There's the ball. But now he's too late, right? Now he's too late reacting to this. He is irrelevant in this play. There's your block, there's your block, there's your hole, right? Boom. That's it. That's it. And that's Blake Corum just doing Blake Corum things, right? Again, he had a couple of these, right? And I give some credit to the safeties of Nebraska. Do I feel like cutting this way would have been more beneficial with this block here, right? With the additional defenders here flowing to the play? Probably. So I feel like maybe you shouldn't have cut right here. But again, that's I think that's good play from the safety. Sometimes you got to give them a little bit of credit there. Corum and Donovan will break a couple of these versus Minnesota. I think so. JJ looks at him the entire time, even after he gets. Yeah, again, your eyes can really sell it, right? Your eyes can help sell that fake really well, right? That's what holds up 14 a little bit. So yeah, really, really selling all in on that fake. That just holds up 14 a little bit. Everything you can do with your eyes for JJ McCarthy, all you need is for him to just think about it, right? Just think about the possibility that I might have the ball, right? That's all you need. That opens up the offense so much for everybody. So I love to see that. Right now, second and goal. We're on the goal line here.
Right back there. Corum is in.
I don't even know why I really clipped this. I don't think there's anything too special. Just good play side blocking, right? Good blocks all around. Maybe to shout out Bredesen here. Good pull here from Zinter. So, yeah, I mean, Colson Loveland is the first to come across here, gets a good block on the edge defender, and then kind of simultaneously Zinter and Bredesen through the hole here, finding bodies, right? And then just insert yourself behind them if you're Blake Corum, right? Just fly through. There you go, right? So, it's definitely something that I feel like Michigan has improved on their short yardage situation. I think having Khalil Mullings helps in this scenario, but I feel like the offensive line is definitely executing pretty well. So short and sweet on that one. Okay, some good defensive play. We have a couple of these. Let's get to it.
Prohaska comes in at left tackle, and it's a throw for Harburg, and it's blocked.
All right, so this is the one. This is the one that is scary, right? And we really only need to look at two players here. Let's watch first the one-on-one coverage here at the bottom, and then we'll look next at Quentin Johnson's play here. But the one-on-one coverage on the bottom, right? I feel like we saw this with Mike Sainristil earlier. You don't see Will Johnson get crossed up like this often, right? I feel like we can count on one hand the number of times that Will Johnson has made a mistake, right? And usually he has the athleticism to make up for it. He got beat pretty bad on that one. And if not for the tipped pass here, this could be going a while, right? Of course, you're hoping that Rod Moore would be able to come down and lay a lick on 13 if he does catch the ball around this location, right? But Will Johnson can't be beat like that. Again, could be rust. I mentioned this is closer to game one or game two of comfortability for a couple guys in the secondary for sure. And Will Johnson's part of that. So hopefully this is a part of that, right? Just dusting off the rust here. But this is the guy that you need to have on Marvin Harrison Jr., right? At times probably on an island. And that doesn't instill a bunch of confidence, right? So again, it's one play, but we saw him get we saw it happen a couple times this game. So when a team plays as well as I feel like Michigan did throughout this game, there's going to be little glimpses of this that I feel like instill the panic because it's like everything's good except for this one thing. Oh my God, it's a little scary. So anyway, give Johnson a ton of credit, right? Because I feel like there were a number of tip passes that came up huge, right? In the grand scheme of this game, did this tip pass really do a whole lot to change the outcome of the game? No. But later on in the season, right, against Ohio State, you could see something like this happening on a third down. I could feel it, right? You can feel something like that happen. So I did not expect Quentin Johnson to be getting this much playing time. He's turned himself into more than a serviceable safety. And I'm really happy because he was a guy who it was getting late early for him. He's I think he's a junior, right? At least this year, and hadn't really made much of an impact. So for him to get meaningful time, of course, some of that was brought on because of some of the injuries in the secondary. But this isn't just a case of him, performing adequately and just filling the gaps. I feel like he's become a plus player in the secondary thus far, and he's making plays, right? This is a big play. So happy for him, right? And this is why it's so important. Follow the eyes, right? And there were plays earlier in the season where that was the main thing for Quentin Johnson to improve on, right? Get to the spot that you need to get to and then follow the eyes. So this level of comfortability, you can see him come downhill here, right? Because this is play action. He's coming downhill, but then he recognizes right here, and then he shifts, right? You see his eyes shift to the quarterback. He says, oh, he's loading up for the throw. And he shows good technique here to be like, oh, he's loading up here. Let me jump. And he gets his hand there just in time. So I'm happy for him, right? That's only something that you can do when you're more confident and you go from not just, oh, crap, I hope I don't mess up, right? You shift from that mindset to then how can I make a play? And I feel like that's starting to happen for Quentin Johnson a little bit more week over week. So good job on him. And, continue to watch Will Johnson because Minnesota has some guys, right? I think it's Daniel Jackson. We still haven't seen Chris Ottman-Bell just yet for Minnesota, but there's a couple guys who I think Minnesota has that their quarterback's relatively competent, and Will Johnson, I think, will be challenged a little bit more. So something definitely to watch for this upcoming weekend. Let me see. Adam says week 1-2 for secondary. Totally agree. Yep. Plenty of time figured out. Just please do it. Yep. Again, these are things to watch, not something I'm overly concerned about. Low reps in fall camp for these guys. Yep. Just getting up to speed. That's why it sort of bugged me they took so many games off. If they could have played, rather not see them shake the dust off in Big Ten schedule. I agree with that, but also I don't have all the information on how comfortable they were, right? You'd rather have a guy close to 100%, if not at 100%, instead of risking an injury. But again, I don't have all of that information to know. Glad we're getting some challenges at this point in the season. We need them. Yeah. And I feel like I say it pretty consistently. These are the things that you like to have on film when you're up 35-0, right? Because it didn't cost you a game, didn't cost you a loss, didn't do anything, but it's a teachable moment, right? And you can expect a lot of growth to come from putting that on film. So Dylan Girk says, as long as they're healthy, we play nothing until Penn State. Practice is harder. Probably fair. So yeah, we'll see. Something to watch. Again, a couple things just to keep an eye on moving forward here in the next couple of weeks. And this was, I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time on this from a blocking perspective, but just another great instinctual run here from Khalil Mullins, right? Where you can see where the path for this play is supposed to go. You're pulling your center, right? You're pulling your center. He's supposed to kick this guy out. You'll have, I think it's Trent Jones supposed to lead the way here, but it's not really open right away, right? You can see that edge actually does a pretty good job constricting that. And Ladarius Henderson is getting blown back, right? So this gap isn't big enough for Trent Jones to get in. And you can notice this edge player is coming down. So there's not a whole lot for Khalil Mullins to do play side, but he makes a really good decision to say, hey, I'm going to cut this way, and I'm going to make another cut to make this, I think that's probably a safety coming down, right? Safety or linebacker, whatever it may be, make him miss, and then I'm just going to continue on my way. And he gives the opportunity for his offensive lineman to pull him across the line to gain there. So again, this is the sort of instinctual running that I feel like Khalil Mullins maximizes yards that are even possible for the offense. So that's just great to see, right? Because you forget, because I think he's a junior, at least eligibility, but he's really in year one, maybe year 1.5 of being a running back in a college system. Right? I feel like Mike Hart said that, where he's still really young when it comes to being a running back in this program. So even though I think he'll be a senior next year, sky's still the limit, and we haven't seen everything that he can become yet because, again, he still needs to be coached up quite a bit from switching over to linebacker. So these instincts and things like this are such great things to see for a running back early on in his running back situation currently. All right, this one we gotta give love to the walk-ons here.
Overwhelming, but super efficient. And all Roman does is add 2 more touchdowns. Tommy Hill here on the return. Oh,
Just Traverse City's finest, right? I should have his name up, right? I feel bad I don't, but this guy just set a lick on this guy, right? And I love it because it's 38-0, and he just comes flying down. Oh gosh, what a tackle, right? I mean, full speed again, boom. That's how you make an impact, right? And JJ McCarthy loves it. I just had to include that, right? Because that's the thing for your culture, right? For just for everyone to get behind you, right? And I love it because every play is an opportunity, right? 38-0, whatever. It's an opportunity for you to have the national broadcast, right? To get respect from your teammates. Every play is an opportunity. So it's can't get much better than that. I love to see a player who doesn't get a whole lot of love make a play like that because that's a hell of a tackle, right? That's a hell of a tackle. So that's really fun. I just had to include that because hit of the game. Loved it. All right, moving on. We got 3 more plays. I'm at 1 hour. We'll squeeze in the last 3 here.
We'll see what this looks like for the Huskers. Pressure again. He gets roped and
all right, starting to see a little bit more from Josiah Stewart, right? Second sack in this game. And you know, how replicable is this, right? Again, I mentioned that Nebraska maybe doesn't have the best defensive lineman, and that's certainly true. But I feel like he's starting to put it together, especially with his edge play on the runs, respecting his responsibility on the edge. Again, he's coming from Coastal Carolina. I feel like he just had to mentally understand that, hey, there are certain things that I could that I cannot do anymore. I can't rely on my athleticism here in the Big Ten. I need to change how I play. I need to adjust, improve my handwork, improve certain areas to become a prolific pass rusher in the Big Ten. And I feel like he's starting to do that. It's just good technique, right? Good initial burst. He does the initial sort of chop down of the arms here. And then watch this rip here with that left arm. We can't really get a great view of it, but that left arm under does a good job, right? Does a really good job. And then again, the hips, right? You can see right here, this is one of the key steps. Look how far out that left foot goes, right? He's doing a cross here because he realizes this is the part where you really need to rely on this hip, your flexibility, right? And this is tough with your left foot. While a guy is pushing you like that, try to stick your foot in the ground, right? And work off of that. That requires a lot of flexibility and a lot of strength to do that. I think I was talking to Trevor. He's a beast, right? Josiah Stewart, he's not the tallest guy, but he is built, right? So this is the strength on display here for his ability to put that foot in the ground like that. That's tough to do. Not a lot of guys have that athleticism to do that. So good on him, right, for getting a hand on the quarterback and then able to use that and use that grab here on the shoulder pad to sort of slingshot his way to fully wrap up the tackle. So he's starting to put that together. And again, I feel like a key aspect of the strength and conditioning program, not just strength, but flexibility, right? You cannot do this without a ton of leg strength, right? So flexibility is such a huge part of your overall strength and your balance, right? A lot of those stabilizing muscles, not just the ability to deadlift a bunch, but how adept are you, right? How are you able to deal with this 320-pound man or however big this tackle is pushing on you while you have all your weight loaded up on your left toe like that, right? takes a lot of balance, takes a lot of strength and flexibility to be able to handle that and continue on the play like he does. Um, so yeah, I feel like again, Michigan has got themselves a great one with with Ben Herbert in the strength and conditioning program, and that's a key aspect of being able to do that and not get hurt. I agree with Emily. I'm sore looking at that as well. I feel like my leg would explode. So hopefully you continue to see that from Josiah Stewart moving forward as well.
My partner pretty excited. Right at the jump. I'm standing right here. I have a name. Denegal.
Jane Denegal. Going to pass off here to Peyton O'Leary. You'll have to forgive me. I don't know everyone who is in at this point in the game on the offensive line. They do a good job with the pass protection. Right? We look at the offensive line here. They're all doing a good job here. This is plenty of time for Jane Denegal to step up, make a confident throw here. I like the ball placement, right? In this case, right, usually you don't want to throw high, right? Because if you throw high, usually there can be a safety over the top on a route like this to be waiting in the wings. But when you're at the goal line here, excuse me, if this is a tip pass, right, ball's going in the stands. So I like the location here where you leave no doubt if there's any sort of linebackers here, they're not going to be able to jump up and have an effect on this. So you put it only in a spot where your wide receiver can get it. And then it's a good location here for Peyton O'Leary, right? He is just sitting here. I assume this is a form of an option route where if it's man, then you can continue on across. If it's zone, then you find the area and you sit there, right? And I feel like Peyton O'Leary recognizes that, hey, it's zone. I don't want to be running into a body. He finds that soft spot, makes himself a big target here, and Jane Denegal recognizes that. So it's a good job, right? And good ball location towards Peyton O'Leary's left, right? Because you have the safety here, a linebacker here. Throwing it over here will likely get him lit up, or at least maybe a contested pass here. Throwing it on this side, there's a lot more room. So it probably didn't need to be as high as it was. But again, put the ball where only your wide receiver can get it. He does that, comes down with the pass. So good job from Jane Denegal. Nice to see a couple nice drives from the backups. I feel like that's been the key thing for Michigan. Hadn't seen enough out of Jack Tuttle. Hadn't seen enough out of Jane Denegal. I feel like now I'm starting to get a little bit more confidence in the abilities of Michigan's backups. You know, obviously neither of them are going to be a JJ McCarthy, but Jack Tuttle, I feel like, can at least manage the game, right? He can at least manage the offense. I don't feel terrified of an offense. I don't feel as good about it, right? And there'll surely still be hiccups. But I like to see these guys able to execute the offense and look a little bit more comfortable than they had been in previous games. All right, I hate to start or to end this on a bad play, but I feel like you got to call it out, right? I'm not here to say everything's great. I'm here to call out bad plays when there are bad plays as well.
Taking the ball away, hit and harass the young Harburg. It's just not allowed Nebraska going. Right up the middle, and there finally is a big run. Joshua Fleeks the big.
Bummer, right? Bummer. 5 minutes left in the fourth, and you give up the shutout. All right. And you have to forgive me. Someone in the comments, I'm calling on you to help me out here. But 95 needs to, I know he's a freshman. Purse? I should know. This is my bad. I should have done my research on who 95 is. Anyway, Trey Pierce. That's got to be it. It's got to be Trey Pierce. Yeah, that feels right. Trey Pierce. He gets a welcome to the Big Ten block right here. Trey Pierce, true freshman defensive tackle. Whew. Okay. So, yeah, that is what you don't want to do against a double. All right. He just gets washed out, right? And this is what happens. Again, I feel like we take it for granted sometimes on how difficult it is to hold up. Thank you guys, Dylan and John. Thank you for Trey Pierce. I'm glad I beat you to it because I was feeling pretty bad for not remembering it. But this is what happens when you don't adequately hold up to a double, right? And he's a true freshman, so I'm not going to be super hard on him. But this is why footwork, right? This is why footwork, strength, leverage, all these things matter, right? All these things will come with time. And this is exactly why these things matter. Because look at the hole that it opens up, right? It makes the job for your defensive end and TJ Guy that much harder. It makes the job of Pollard, your linebacker here, I think this Pollard at least, really difficult with a tight end with a giant hole to come flying through, right? So that's really tough for everyone to be able to react to this play. And then the rest is what I would call just poor angles, right, from your safeties. You'd expect both Quentin Johnson and Rod Moore to be able to track this guy down, right? And they simply don't. And I think, who is that? Number 12 there. Is that Josh Wallace? Yeah. So again, the guy's fast, right? I think he's a transfer. I forget where exactly he's brought in from, but this dude is a speedster, right? So it's not like he's some scrub that you wouldn't expect to be able to pull away. But Quentin Johnson, I get it, right? You have to come downhill. You want to break down a little bit because this guy has a lot of options of where to go, right? So I get it, but you would like to see one of your safeties be able to make a play on this, but this guy's fast, right? So yeah, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence in the backups, right? Or the backups, but it is what it is. It's a bummer, right? It's a bummer. But and then maybe a dumb question Emily asks, was this Nebraska's backups at this point? That is a good question. I don't think so. I don't. That is a good question, Emily. I'm not 100% sure. I think that still looks like Harburg to me. Let me look up. I'm going to look up the stats of this running back. Do ESPN Michigan versus Nebraska. All right, because I want to see how many carries this guy actually had. Box score. Yeah, so they didn't have any other quarterbacks have passes, so I feel like this is Harburg still in the game. I'm pretty sure 87 is that Fedone, or is Fedone 84? No, he's 24. No, Fleeks. So this is Joshua Fleeks. That's who scored the touchdown here. Yeah, he's a wide receiver. So I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question, Emily. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it was funny being in the stands. There were some, good-spirited Nebraska fans around who are like, "Hey," and I feel like someone was like, "You guys let us score a touchdown. You guys suck." And I was like, "Oh man," but no, great fans in the stadium. They were really fun. So yeah, I think the main takeaway here is bummer. It is what it is. You'd like to have a shutout in Big Ten play. Oh well. Again, teachable moment, right? You can't ever slack off. You can't ever take a play off, right? Can't ever take a play off. They feel like that's the main takeaway here. But overall, let's get this play off. Let's pause. I'm going to pause here for final thoughts right there. We're going to pause right there. Final thoughts. Great game, right? Great game. One of the most complete games from the Wolverines this year. I think by far most complete game. The M Turf. Toski the Goat No Cap. Thank you, sir. John, you going to Minnesota game? Yes. Flying out tomorrow. I still got to pack. I'm doing laundry. I got to switch my laundry after this. And then I got to put in more work tonight. It's going to be a long night. Dylan Girk, 7 points per game. You're fine with it. I agree with that. Fine for best in the nation. Yeah, again, that late touchdown, I'm not hurt over it. It's more of a fun to gripe at sort of sadness about no shutout. So, yeah, I mean, fun team, right? Fun team. And again, I don't feel like it's a team that is going to get the recognition it deserves because it's not going to necessarily have a marquee matchup until later in the year. So I feel like it's a team that's just going to be like, who are they? Who are they? Who are they? And then they're going to show up against Penn State and late in the year. Again, I don't know this, but my feeling is they're going to show some things. It's going to be like, oh, wow, all year they've been these guys and they just haven't had the chance to really prove it, right? And you can say what you want about the non-conference, but also the conference as a whole, all these teams are pretty rough that Michigan is facing up against, and they don't choose the schedule, right? I wish we had an October game against Penn State instead of later November, right? I would prefer that as well. So again, Michigan can't be blamed for certain parts of their schedule. I think it's silly to hold it against them. You may see Michigan start to slip just because other teams will have tougher matchups and a more proven resume. But this is a very scary team, one of the scarier offenses I can remember from Michigan. And I mean, yeah, you'd have to go back pretty far to find a better front seven than what Michigan has. Really fun. Really fun. I agree with Emily here saying it felt like first week we were fit for our ranking. It did. It felt like this was the domination game, right? Against Rutgers. I think Rutgers might be a decent-ish Big Ten team. I don't know if Nebraska is, but this did feel like Michigan could do no wrong, and they were just imposing their will. Any thoughts or words for the Minnesota game? I'm going to be watching the passing game. I think the Minnesota team has a few wide receivers worth watching. And I'm going to be watching how the secondary responds to that because I think that this is going to be one of the better quarterbacks that Michigan faces until you get to Drew Aller and Kyle McCord, whatever it may be. So I'm going to be watching the passing game overall, and I think there are some wideouts that are worth watching. I do think there's some injuries for Minnesota at the running back position that make me a little bit more confident there. So I wouldn't say I'm worried about it, but I'm excited for Michigan playing in a night atmosphere away, right? I feel like that'll be good for them to experience that, and I'm interested to see how they respond. They've historically over the past couple of years responded well to that. So picks for other top teams in the nation, most worried to play. I feel like Texas is impressing me. Georgia doesn't seem like they have the horses that they had in the previous years. I feel like Ohio State will figure some things out to be a tough matchup as always, but yeah, I feel like Texas is standing out to me the most, and then Oregon and Washington. I'm really excited to see which one of those teams kind of proves themselves out of the Pac-12. I think we're going to have a really good Pac-12 team in the playoff this year for sure. Okay, I am out of here. Switch laundry, do some work, pack, wake up early, go fly, work, do some stuff in Minneapolis. It'll be fun. All right. Follow us at Twitter, at Michigan Rivals. Head over to the boards. I frequent those often just to chime in for any of our subscriber chats. Lots of great information from Josh and Trevor and team. Subscribe if you haven't. Throw a like on the video. I appreciate all those. Really helps grow the channel as well. And yeah, I will see you guys hopefully next week for another episode of Cut Ups. Trevor and I will be back probably not Sunday. That's when we get back, or at least when I get back. So it'll probably be looking Monday or Tuesday again. We do have Monday Night Football, so Tuesday might be a better day for that. So appreciate all of you. Thank you for the comments and for stopping by. Emily, I remember you from a while ago stopping by, so I'm glad you found these streams as well. And again, you can find me on X or Twitter at Osentoski. I usually tweet whenever I go live, and then obviously subscribe to the channel, and hopefully it'll notify you when I'm going live. Okay, I'm out. Laundry time. Take care.